Hi there, and welcome to our first market update. Our first market update ever, but certainly the first market update of 2026. And first of all, I just want to say a big thank you to my good friend Chris Lewis, who's very kindly let us come and record in the Fasato Lounge today, which obviously is at the top of Kenilworth. And I must admit, I am a regular here most Saturdays with my wife. Is this your debut, Michael?
Yeah, first time here, really nice spot, to be fair.
So we are going to be sampling some breakfast after we've recorded this, and we will be paying for it, so don't worry about that. Right, so I suppose just at the start then, we're filming this on the very sort of first week of February. So we've had a month of data to look at how the market has started to respond in 2026. So the first 3 quarters of 25 were fantastic, but the last quarter not so much, was it?
Yeah, certainly back end of October, all the way through November, all the way until the budget. It was a dead end. There was a lot of twiddling our thumbs, trying to get people around houses, if we're being honest.
I think the budget was the big thing.
Yeah, it was leading all the way up to the budget, and weirdly, compared to most years where the 2 weeks before Christmas, you're putting your feet up, having mince pies, it was quite the opposite. There seemed to be a little bit of a rush for maybe 2 weeks before, and then there was obviously the Christmas shutdown then.
Yeah, and then since we've been back, I mean, I've just got some stats, and this is national statistics, but still relevant to what we're about to say. The stats are backing it up, because in January, there's been a 2.8% increase in the national house price. So that's quite an increase. I mean, for your average home value in the UK, that's about a 10,000 increase in 1 month. And Rightmove have also said that that's the biggest jump in January in their 25-year history monitoring the activity. So it's all quite positive, hopefully, going forward.
Yeah, I think on that as well, just another stat that I've seen come up from Rightmove, from listings in January 2026, it's the highest amount of properties that have been listed on Rightmove all the way since January 2015. So there's a lot of properties out there. So I think, yeah, definitely pointing towards the buyer's market at the moment.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to come on to that a little bit more in a minute, because that is without doubt the case. So what we're going to do in a second is go through some of the areas that we cover. I mean, not every area. We've just got a snapshot just to give people an idea of what's happening in their location, because obviously that's what's important. So what we've got here is, I'll just quickly start. So starting with Kenilworth, and this is all Office of National Statistics data, and it's based on land registry completion. So it's highly accurate. But the only slight issue with the land registry data is that there's always a lag, because from when a property sells to actually going on the land registry, there can be a few months. But when you look at it, as we will do every quarter, you can start to build a picture as to what's happening. Now, in Kenilworth, over the last 12 months, the market is more or less stayed the same. There is a small increase, it's 0.3%. But that's over a year. And I think if you drilled into those stats, what you would probably see is a gradual increase for the first 3 quarters, and then it definitely leveled off, and maybe a slight drop for the last quarter whilst there was all that uncertainty around the budget.
Yeah, so just looking at Earlsdon to start with, the average price change there, that's gone up quite a bit more actually than Kenilworth. That's gone up 3.8%. So it's a bit more of a significant jump, really.
Yeah, and that's what, when we start looking at these areas, this is what I've noticed. To be honest, almost completely different figures depending on the locations. Stratford upon Avon, an area again that we sell in, the market there seemingly performed very well. Over the last 12 months, there's been a 10% or 10.6% increase, but that's very much against the trend of what we're seeing generally. But, Stratford has performed quite well.
Yeah, and well, I say the other one I've got here as well, Finham, again, performing really well. I think I'd argue is probably our most dominant area in Coventry. We do really good business there. That's increased by 7%, so yeah, that's really took a good jump.
Yeah, I always keep a close eye on Finham, and I've noticed that it's outperformed a lot of other parts of Coventry. Westwood Heath and Gibbet Hill is one of the few areas that's showing a slight downward over the 12 months. It's saying prices have come down 4% there, but I think that is because it's a buyer's market and stock levels in that particular area have been quite high. So increased competition has put a bit of downward pressure on the prices. But one stat, and this is and back to the national picture, Rightmove have also said that there are more homes for sale now in January than there has been since January 14. So, you know, that's the highest stock levels in 12 years, which that's what we're sort of seeing. You know, there's a lot of choice for buyers out there. And what also leads on from that is that 1 in 3 of those properties have had some form of price reduction. So as always, you know, once stock becomes higher, and I mean, there are buyers out there, but they've got more choice, it often puts a little bit of downward pressure on the value. So it's really important to get that valuation right to start with. Michael, you've got some of our stats that we were just going to share specific to our business as to how we've got on this year so far.
Yeah, so I think it's important to note straight away that we target the middle, certainly to higher end of the market. So we're more of quality rather than volume, but it'd be good to compare these stats to next quarter and see how quarter on quarter's going rather than, oh, Elizabeth Davenport does this many viewings. To compare them quarter on quarter, really. So yeah, so far in 2026, we've got 12 sales agreed so far.
And not bad considering where we were, you know, the end of last year was really quiet. So good positive bounce back.
And it's good. And of them 12 sales agreed, we have taken 32 offers. And that's only from 40 viewings carried out. Granted, some of them offers would have been from the back end of last year, but sort of a very good viewing to conversion rate, really.
And then, and on the valuation side, I mean, we're just coming to that now. And this is always a key indicator of what's going to happen in probably 3 months' time, because we've done 85 valuations and with 21 instructions so far. So again, for a month, that's not bad. And I think it's going to show that when we next do our report, I'm expecting that we're going to have quite a sharp upturn in sales, which would happen normally anyway, because the spring is the good time for selling. But it's just quite nice to see that the valuation numbers are up, and hopefully with another interest rate coming as well, potentially, that could really help the market. Just sort of very quickly moving on to that, we're sort of constantly getting feedback from mortgage experts as to what's happening. In March, I think, when the next Bank of England meet to discuss interest rates, we're actually going to do a video or an update for you with Matthew Owen, who's one of the mortgage advisors that we work with, and he's going to give you a much sort of detailed update as to what's happening. But a couple of headline figures we've got here. At the moment, the standard 2-year fixed rate mortgage is looking at 4.29%, and that's the lowest it's been since the Liz Truss budget, and we all know what happened there. But what that actually means is that typically somebody buying with a 20% deposit is saving £100 a month compared to this time last year. So what that means for most people out there is that there's more money in their pocket, and hopefully, not always, but hopefully that means that, you know, affordability can be a little bit higher for people, which helps everything moving.
Yeah, I think that they are predicting another 2 or 3 interest drops as well this year. So, I mean, everything's pointing in the right direction, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It'll be really interesting to hear what Matt has to say on that when we interview him next month. So what does 2026 mean for you as a buyer or a home seller? And there's just a couple of things that here. I mean, a lot of these things are maybe obvious, I don't know. But the first thing is that, you know, we are in a buyer's market. So as a seller, you have to price to entice. You know, you have to have an attractive guide price which generates interest. And where we see some of our best results is where we get multiple viewers round and we go to sort of a best and final scenario. And obviously the way to do that is to price it competitively, but also make sure the presentation and the marketing is absolutely spot on. But there are buyers out there, aren't there?
Yeah, I mean, it sounds kind of counterintuitive, but you almost price it low to achieve higher. And if you're doing an open house and people can see there's one in, one out, a cycle of people, I mean, really, it creates competition, and everyone loves competition, don't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're quite optimistic for the spring. Obviously, we're in very early February at the moment, so there's a lot of things to sort of play out. But we'll be back to update you, with the mortgage update in March, and then we'll also be doing another market update a little bit later in the year so we can see how things have changed. But thank you very much for watching.
Yeah, thank you.
And thank you very much to the Versato Lounge again.